So the first thing to do is to define the API for our profiler. I think for now we'll put the profiler in the engine project in the debug section, and then probably eventually we'll end up having to extract or refactor it out to its own project, along with all the other debug tools that we'll build. But since this is our first debug tool, I don't want to mess around too much with the projects right now. Let's just get going. I'm going to add a new folder. I'm going to say debug tools. And in here, I'm going to add a new folder, and we'll call it profiling. And then right-click here, add class, C++ class, add profiler. Finish. Grab these, drag them into profiling. Control L, enter, enter. Pound if and def profile. Oh wait, we gotta do. Let's do debug. I'm just kind of prefixing these files in the groups with my preprocessor directives. That's all I'm doing there. Debug profiler H, Control L, Control V, pound define. Oops, Control U, Control end, pound endif. And then get rid of that. Get rid of it. In fact, let's get rid of all that for now. Clean this out as well. I should just write a macro to do all that for us. Okay. So, going back to the header file, the public, when I interface with the public parts of this profiler, I basically want to be able to say void add entry, const char star, category, and then float time. Alright, so bringing back our Excel file here that I kind of made up in the last video, I want to be able to add these individual entries. So for this frame, we're going to measure ship kinematics, and then whatever that ends up being, we'll put the value there. And then the next thing we'll do is the transform measurements, then transforming the verts, and sending the data to the graphics card. And then we're going to move to a new frame and then add these entries one by one as we time them. So that's the whole point of this add entry. We also need a way to tell the profiler to go on to the next frame, like so. So I'm going to come in here and say void new frame. Alright, and if you remember, we had to call new frame on something else in our game. The clock. Okay, every time the clock runs, we need to tell the clock, or every frame you need to say, hey clock, it's a new frame, new frame, new frame, and then the clock can give us our time elapsed last frame and that sort of thing. So same idea here. We need to say new frame so the profiler knows when to walk down the frames. Now, as always, let's go to our engine tester project. I'm going to set this as the startup project, and then in here, let's add new item, CPP file. Let's add profile tests, like so. Click add. And then pound include gtest gtest.h. And then let's see, test profiler. What do we want to test about the profiler? I'm not quite sure yet. I know that I can say profiler, and then profiler.addEntry. And let's say, actually, let's test. I know I've got this Excel file, how I set it up before, but let's do a new sheet here, and just for testing purposes, I want to be able to see profile. What did I call that? I can't remember what I called it. Frame number. Okay, so we want to see frame number, and then let's just do categories up here. Let's just say category 1, category 2, category 3. And I'm just doing this because I want to make unit testing easier. I'm going to double click here to automatically size these columns here. But I just want some general category names, and 1, 2, 3, that makes sense. It's easy for me to look at and debug. So I think the first thing I want to do is let's do 5 frames. And so the frame number should go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we will write a loop that will essentially add entries in this order. So pop, 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 like so on and so forth. And I want the entries, we'll just simply use numbers to make it easier, even though, I mean integers, even though they'll be floating point values. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. You may think, Jamie, that's kind of tedious to do. I'll tell you what, a little bit of tedium and planning up ahead goes a long way. In fact, with my son, I've been teaching him programming, and I've noticed I've had to really kind of explain things in and out and kind of go through them like this. And it turns out our programs, because of that, generally don't have too many bugs simply because of all the planning. However, if I just jump into the programming, I write up a bunch of stuff, I think it should work correctly, but then I end up having to debug backwards and make sure it's all correct. So pick your poison which way you want to go. Okay, so first things first, I need to actually tell the profiler that we have a new frame. Okay, that's required at the beginning of every frame. And then why is this profiler is undefined? That's because we need to pound include debug tools / profiling / profiler. And then I want to add entry. Let's do category 1, like so. And actually, I'm going to write our profiler simply because I'm a programmer. I'm going to have it go 0 base. So first frame will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, let me put that back over there. So category 1 will be a 0. Profiler.add entry. Category 2, that will be 1. Profiler.add entry. Category 3 will be a 2. See, I'm just kind of painstakingly doing this by hand, and I'm going to group these like so. Once we've done our first 3 entries, so pop, 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 we need to say, hey, go on to the next frame, and then we're going to give you the same categories, and so on and so forth. So it just came to my mind, one thing we need to test for is that the first frame, the profiler, it doesn't quite know what categories to expect. So it should just accept the categories as is on that first frame. But then on subsequent frames, it should check and be sure that the frame names that it's receiving, or these add entries, these char stars I'm passing in, are identical to the ones it received before. So I can't say, hey, add an entry for category 2 before I add an entry for category 1. All right, I'm hoping that makes sense. Every frame, I must maintain consistent order for our simple, very basic profiler. So I'm going to actually jot that down in a notepad so that I can remember to do that. So profilers should ensure after frame 0 that all category names are the same, correct, in proper order. And that's simply a note to me, and I'll keep it up over here off the screen. Okay, so after we've done the new frame, or after we've added all these entries, we need to indicate, okay, profiler, new frame. Okay, and then same thing as we did before. Control-C, Control-V, because I'm a good programmer and I like to copy and paste. And then here we go, C, V, 4, 5, 6. Now, if you've programmed hopefully longer than a month or two, you're starting to realize, Jamie, shouldn't you just do a loop? I mean, that's kind of a loop, isn't it? Yes, it is a loop. All right, and this will be I, so I equals 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way to 14. So let's actually throw this in a loop. 4. Unsigned int I get 0, I less than 15, I plus plus, curly, curly, highlight, tab, Control L, all this stuff out of here. Alt, drag, I. Okay, does that make sense what I just did there? I basically threw all that into a loop, and I'm going on up to 15. Well, 15 is kind of a magic number. It doesn't really tell me nor you what's going on here. So let's be a little bit more professional. Const, unsigned, int, num, entries, sorry, num, entries gets 15, and then I can say I less than num entries, and I think we're good there. So now that we have what should be our Excel file here, we need to see if the profiler actually recorded this data correctly in some file. So we need to indicate to the profiler that we're done with it. It needs to write its data out. And so I'm going to say profiler.shutdown, and we actually need to go to profiler and declare that function void shutdown. And I think, we haven't defined any of them yet. That's fine. Profiler.shutdown, but if I have a shutdown, then I need a profiler.initialize. And why do I need initialize? Because Jamie believes religiously that if you have a system that you need to either shut down or start up, that you need to be consistent and do both. So I'm going to come in here and say void startup, like so. Or not startup, initialize. Initialize. Okay, so after we've shut down, I want to verify that the file we got looks like this. Alright, so we need to do some file streaming, and we'll do that in the next video.